Hello and welcome to VDODNA, where the English is bad and the tutorials are good. I'm Iran and today I'm gonna show you how to create this cool Iron-Man Hud effect. Yeah, it's gonna happen. Check this out. Well, it's been a long time that we have the face track ability in After Effects, but I never quite find a useful technique, to use it. Well, those days are over because I have this cool, super amazing technique to show you, and you can actually create any kind of HUD, and not only HUDs, you can create anything that surrounds a face, which is pretty cool because it's a 3D track based on 2D points. So let's begin. First of all, I'm going to take the Iron-Man or the Roman, which is the kind person who actually took this footage. He's a pretty cool guy. He's a cool director. Anyway, I like him. Let's take Iron-Man and I'm going to face track it. So first, I'm going to take the pen tool and I'm going to mask my face. It doesn't have to be that exact. And I'm going to press M and reveal the mask, right click, track mask, and before I'm going to press play, I'm going to go to the method and I'm going to make sure the face tracking detail features is on. So I'm going to press the play key. And if the tracking is taking too long, you can press the turbo button, which is exactly what I'm going to do. You can see it's right next to the on button on your computers in the 80s. Well, perfect. So now I have this mask, and the first thing I want to do is I want to take the mask. I'm going to double M to reveal all its features, and I'm going to take it back a bit with the expansion, and I'm going to feather it. Perfect. So now I have my face masked, and I want to extract all the data that I can take. So I'm going to extract and copy face measurements, which is going to take a bit more properties of the face, and it's going to be pretty useful when we continue. And the first thing I want to do, I want to press the set rest pose, but only when my face is on rest pose, which is, it's not rotating anywhere, and I'm looking directly to the camera, I think. Set rest pose, perfect. And now I'm going to create a new null, and I want to take the nose tip value and put it to this null. So I'm going to call this nose null, and I'm going to reveal its position with pressing P on the keyboard, and it's going to be hard for me to locate it from here, but I'm going to press alt click and it's going away. So before I'm going to do that, I'm going to do something really important because the face track usually gives us really jittery points, so we want to smooth that out. So I'm going to alt click the nose tip. I'm going to go to the expression menu. I'm going to go to property. I'm going to take the smooth expression, and I don't need to change anything. And this will actually smooth the animation. So before, after. Just a little bit of smoothing. Anyway, I'm going to do the same to the face orientation, but the Z orientation. And now I want to take both of them and connect them to the nose null. So first of all, I'm going to select the layer. I'm going to tap twice on the E button. So I'm going to show only the properties that have expression. Pretty cool, eh? So I'm going to go to the position and I'm going to alt click and take the nose tip. So now the null moves exactly as the nose. And now I want to take the orientation, and I'm going to take the rotation by pressing R, alt click, and taking the pick whip. So I'm going to take the orientation. Perfect. So now everything moves and rotates in 2D manner, but I want to make it 3D. So I'm going to create a new null, and I'm going to call this null head center, and I want to make both of them 3D layers. And now I want to go to the top view, and I want to see and I want to watch how this moves so I can understand where to locate the head center. So I can see how the nose tip moves, and I'm going to take the head center, I'm going to pull it back until I'm pretty sure it's going to be somewhere in the middle of my head. But it doesn't have to be that accurate, and you can move it at any time, even after you've finished to do everything with this technique. So now when I have the head center placed, I can go back to the active camera, and I'm going to open the position of both of the layers, and I'm going to press Shift R and reveal the orientation of the nose null. I'm going to alt click, and I'm going to go to the expression menu, and I'm going to take from the vector math the look at expression, which is going to extract a 3D orientation based on the position of both the layers. So I'm going to take the from point, delete it, and I'm going to take the position of the nose null, and now I'm going to select the at point, and then I'm going to replace it with the position of the head center. And now the magic happens. So I can see that the layer rotates exactly as I want in a 3D manner, and I can take the head center a bit down until it lines up with the center of my head. Perfect. So let's see what we got here. Let's open a new solid, and this solid I'm going to apply with a grid effect, and it's going to be 3D, and I'm going to parent it to the nose null while pressing Shift. And now I can see that it moves exactly as my head, but in 3D, which is actually crazy. This is actually the coolest part of this tutorial. From here, it's going downhill. But until then, I'm gonna delete this solid, and I'm gonna take the HUD element, which was created by JC and was kind enough to let me use it for this tutorial. And I'm gonna make it 3D, and I'm gonna connect it while pressing Shift to the nose null. And now I can see that it moves with my face, but it's actually on my face and it's disturbing. So I'm gonna go to the add blending mode, and I'm gonna take it maybe here, and I'm gonna rotate it, and then rotate it on the Z value. And now I can see that it rotates like this, which is actually pretty cool. So now I want to create animation and some volume to this element. So I'm gonna pre-comp it. I'm gonna go to Layer, Pre-compose, and I'm gonna leave all the attributes outside. And I'm gonna go inside, and I'm gonna crop this comp with a region of interest. So I'm gonna select this area, and I'm gonna go to the comp menu, and I'm gonna crop the comp to the region of interest. And now I'm gonna pre-comp this once again, this time move all attributes into the new composition. And before I enter and animate this element, I'm gonna take the anchor point tool, and I'm gonna move this anchor point to the center of this circle. It's gonna be pretty important in 2 more minutes. And now I want to animate this elements over here. I'm gonna double click, and let's take the pen tool, and I want to animate this bar. So first of all, I'm going to create a line with a shape layer, which is going to obscure this element. Perfect. And now I want to add to this line a trim paths effect. And now I can see that I can animate the length of the line, which is pretty cool. But first of all, I'm going to go to the alpha matte, and now I can see which one of them I need to animate. So this looks pretty cool. So now I'm gonna go to the end value. I'm gonna change it to 50, and then I'm gonna wiggle it 4 times a second, and with the amplitude of 50. So I have this cool animation, and now I want to duplicate the HUD element again. I'm gonna put it below, and I'm gonna cancel the track map option. And this is the original. And what I want to do here is I want to gray out this area. So I'm going to create a new adjustment layer. And I'm going to create a mask on this adjustment layer, which will include only the orange parts. Perfect. And now I'm going to take the tint effect and place it on the adjustment layer. And I want to change the map to white color to a gray until those bars will match with the top one, which is the original. And I think this is pretty good. And now if I unsolo those layers, I can have this cool animation. Perfect. Now let's animate this line, and I'm going to take the pen tool, and again I'm going to create a new shape layer, and maybe change it a bit, and I'm gonna take the stroke width maybe to 2 points, and I'm gonna change this until I'm gonna be happy with the result. Happy. Let's move on. Let's go to add, and now we're gonna wiggle the paths. So I'm gonna animate this jittery line effect. So I'm gonna go to the detail and add more detail, and I'm gonna change the size so it's gonna be a little bit bigger, and maybe from corner I'm gonna change it to smooth, so it's gonna be a bit smoother. And now I can see that we need to animate it faster, so I'm gonna take the wiggle per second and I'm gonna write 25 or 50 or I don't know, maybe 1000. It doesn't matter until it's gonna animate per frame. So now I wanted to have a bit more glow, so if I duplicate it I get a different kind of a wiggle. So I'm gonna pre-comp it and move all attributes. That's gonna be the default, and I'm gonna duplicate this comp, and I'm gonna take the fast blur, which is now obsolete, but it will always have a special place in my heart. So I'm gonna use it again and again, as much as I can. And let's create a new solid and fast blur it and duplicate it gazillion time and turn off the layers. But now we used fast blur a lot and it will never go away. Anyway, I'm gonna stop right over here, but you can animate almost everything around here, but this tutorial is supposed to be short, so I'm just gonna keep moving on. Anyway, I have this cool animation of the elements, and now I want to create the depth effect. So first I need to divide this element to a few more parts. So I'm gonna take the pen tool, and I'm gonna take maybe this rectangular with the online element, and I'm gonna cut it out, and I'm gonna duplicate this layer, and this time I want to create a big circular mask. So it's gonna be this area, and if I'm gonna solo this layer, I can see that I need to take the original mask and take it down and subtract it. And now I'm gonna duplicate this layer, and I'm gonna scale down the mask until it's gonna include only this area of the element. That looks pretty good. And I'm gonna duplicate it again, and this time I'm gonna take only this little circle from inside. Needless to say that if you have your own files that you already divided them to layers in Photoshop, this is, it's actually better, but I'm using these elements, so, I'm just the messenger. Anyway, I'm gonna take all those layers and I'm gonna turn them into 3D layers, and now I'm gonna go to the custom view, and I'm gonna take the small layer, I'm gonna take it front, and then the second one, and I'm gonna create a bit more spacing between them, and I'm gonna take the big circular one and take it to the back, and now I can see that I have this depth effect, but I don't see them blend with each other, so I'm gonna change all of them to add mode. So now I need to animate them, so I'm gonna press the S button to reveal the scale property, and after 10 frames I'm gonna put a keyframe on a scale with 100%, and in the beginning it's gonna be 0. And now I'm gonna change the keyframe to easy ease in, and maybe go to the graph editor, and I'm gonna change the intensity of the ease, and now I have this animation, and all I need to do now is to sequence them just a bit so they will not appear at the same time. Perfect. And after they opened up, I want them to animate just a bit more. So I'm going to take only the 3 top layers. I'm going to press the R to reveal the rotation property. And on the Z rotation, I'm going to alt click and I'm going to type wiggle 3 times a second and maybe in 10 degrees. Let's see. Yeah, looks pretty good. And I'm going to duplicate by right clicking it and choosing copy expression only, and pasting them on both layers below. And I have this cool animation and a nice opening, and everything had depth. But when I get outside, I don't see this depth. So what I need to do is I need to check on this collapse transformation, which will actually take advantage of the inside of this comp and use its 3D attributes right outside here. So it's actually more like a group than, you know, in Photoshop than a comp in After Effects. So now I want to change its color. So I'm gonna go and take the curves effects and I'm gonna make it bluish. So I'm gonna go to the red and take it down, and to the blue and take it up. And I want to duplicate this element. I'm gonna use it maybe 2 more times. So I'm gonna rotate it and put one over here, maybe scale it down, and let's see how it moves. Yeah, looks pretty good. It's gonna be nicer if it's gonna be a different element, but now we have only one. So this one, I'm gonna reset the curves, and I'm gonna take the red up and the blue down. So I'm gonna have this orange tint, and I'm gonna duplicate it once more. I'm gonna take it here and maybe scale it down, and maybe I'm gonna rotate it, and I'm gonna sequence the animation, the opening of them, so it's not gonna be on the exact same time. So it's gonna be like stair steps, and it's gonna be like this. Yeah, maybe this one's supposed to be just a little bit up right over here. Yeah, okay. So next thing I want to do is to color correct the face, my face. So I'm going to create a new adjustment layer, and I'm going to take the curves effect, and I'm going to take the brightness down on everything, but I want to exclude my eyes. So first I'm going to turn the adjustment layer to a 3D layer. I'm going to parent it to the nose null while the shift is pressed, and now I have this adjustment layer that's moving in a 3D manner as my face, which is pretty awesome. Anyway, I'm going to take the mask tool. I'm going to create an oval mask on one of my eyes. I'm going to subtract it and feather it. I can actually, you know, I can actually leave it like this, but, you know, I'm not Will Smith. And if you know which movie I'm talking about, I'm not gonna talk about it. It was a horrible movie. Could be better, but you know, what can you expect from DC Comics? Which are good, but anyway, I'm gonna take down the, yeah, I'm gonna take the feather up so it doesn't look like goggles. And now I have this cool color correction that is not over my eyes. And I'm gonna duplicate this layer, and I'm gonna remove the mask, and I'm gonna create another big mask. So I'm gonna have one side of my face that's gonna be bluish, and maybe I'm gonna take the opacity down, and I'm gonna duplicate this layer, and I'm gonna take the mask and subtract it, and this part of my face will be orange. So I'm gonna take the red and maybe the blue. I think I exaggerated a bit. And maybe I'm gonna take the opacity of this layer down, both of them, just a hint. Yeah, perfect. And now what I want to do, I want to go to these layers, and I'm gonna go and turn on the motion blur. And I can see that nothing happens, and that's because the collapse transformation button is on. I actually need to go inside and turn on the motion blur for all of those layers, and now I can see it happening from the outside, that I have this cool motion blur. Okay, so next thing I want to do, I want to create a camera so I can have this cool depth of field effect. I don't have to if I don't need to use it in that manner, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So I'm gonna go to the layer new camera, and I'm gonna make sure the preset is 50mm because the viewport uses as a default 50mm, so nothing will change while I open the camera. So if you open the camera and you see any change, you didn't open the 50mm. So I'm gonna press AA, and I'm gonna check on the depth of field, and I'm gonna go to the top view and make sure that the focus distance is right where I want it to be. So now I'm gonna go to the active camera, and I'm gonna take the blur level up until I'm gonna see something cool happening. Well, I don't want to overdo it, but 700 is gonna be cool enough. Well, this is only one element and I want to add as many elements as I can, but I'm gonna use only one more element. You can put on all the rest. So I'm gonna take the HUD grid, and it's black, so it's gonna obscure everything. So I'm gonna change it to add mode. I'm gonna turn this layer 3D, and I'm gonna parent it again while shift is pressed to the nose null. And now I'm gonna change its position on the Z value until it goes out of focus. And I'm gonna take it up a bit, and now I have this cool animation. Well, now I want to take all of the layers and I'm gonna pre-comp them. And I'm gonna call this Iron-Man comp, or animation, or compositing. Anyway, I want to crop this layer, so I'm gonna go to the composition settings and I'm gonna change this to a smaller comp. So now I have some room to play with. So if you shoot this at 4K or UHD, so you have more space to maneuver. So I'm gonna go to the position. I'm gonna alt click and let's wiggle this 4 times a second and maybe in 15 pixels. And now I have this animation. And let's fix the colors for everything. So I'm gonna take the curves effects once again, and maybe I'm gonna change the contrast, and maybe I'm gonna inject some more blue colors, or maybe red. So you can take everything that you want and change it, and maybe, no, I think that's pretty good. Anyway, the cool thing about this is you can actually change the footage pretty easily. You don't actually need to do nothing to recreate it. So if I want to change what I did, I can go inside. I'm gonna take the original footage and I'm gonna drag while pressing Alt key another footage. And I'm gonna solo this footage, and I'm gonna remove all the keyframes that the mask has. And I'm gonna go to the beginning and I'm gonna maybe change its position. This looks pretty good. I just need to track his face. And then I'm gonna extract again and copy the face measurements. And then I will not forget to set the rest pose. And the last thing I need to do is I'm gonna take the head center, I'm gonna take them and gonna change again the center of the head so it will fit with the new face. And that's it. That's all you need to do. So if you don't want to recreate everything that we've seen here in this tutorial, you can actually replace the bottom layer with your layer and use it, I don't know, maybe for your Facebook profile or your cool short movie, or maybe if you're on the next Iron Man movie, you can thank me later. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm gonna put some extra elements in the footage that you download so you can have a lot more things to play with. Anyway, you can check on our site that have tons of cool things and watch some more tutorials, and maybe even be a better person and buy one of our products, which will actually pay you off. Counter preset is gonna save you so much time, but also time presets and arrow preset. Well, I did my marketing. Anyway, don't forget to comment and to share this knowledge with your friends. You can follow us on Facebook, on our blog, or on our Instagram. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and you will use it to your project. I'm Iran Tabib, and I'll see you next time.